Hey, yo, what's good? Not every fighter is going to be undefeated. Not every fighter is going to be a Hall of Famer. Not every fighter is going to be an all-time great. It does not mean that these fighters are bums. It does not mean that they're not good fighters. And it does not mean that they should not be remembered. Welcome to my underappreciated fighters series. Today I'm doing another heavyweight, 3 in a row. Maybe I'll mix it up next time, but I'm doing David Tua today. The Tua man, the Tua Minator, who fought in the 90s up until 1992, up until 2013. He has a record of 52, 5, and 2 with a 73 knockout ratio. This man hails from New Zealand, but he got a big Samoan build, knockout puncher, heavy hitter, one of the most devastating left hooks of all time. I know I said that about Tommy Morrison, but his pales in comparison to David Tua's, man. David Tua would have freaking murked Tommy Morrison in the first round. He would have murked him. Only been dropped once in his whole career, never been knocked out. And he faced such fighters like Ike Abiabuchi. I'll mention him in a bit. Hasim Rahman twice. Lennox Lewis, Chris Bird, Michael Moore, John Reese. He started his career with 9 straight knockouts. Then proceeded to fight good fighters like Darryl Wilson, undefeated Darryl Wilson, 17-0-2, who actually knocked out an undefeated Shannon Briggs, who was being touted as the next big thing, who was a future heavyweight champion. He had 2 come from behind knockouts over David Ioza. Let me check his name for clarity. Excuse me. I apologize. Damn it. Izon. David Izon and Oleg Maskaev. So he was trailing badly, actually. He was down on both fights, or they were up in the air, and he came from behind with this brutal left hook, knocked them both out. That is a sign of a great fighter, one that could be losing and still win the fight. That's so great about boxing. David Tua had that. He also knocked out John Reese in 19 seconds, who later became a 2-time. This makes me throw up, John Reese being a world champion and David Tua never have been one, but it is what it is. He knocked out John Reese in 19 seconds. Anyone who knocks out boring ass John Reese is a friend of mine, is cool with me. And John Reese is the guy that beat Evander Holyfield, so we gotta remember that. I think he beat Evander Holyfield. Pretty sure. Checking box rec. Yeah, he beat Evander Holyfield. He had his first loss against Ike Abiabuchi in a great fight. Undefeated Ike Abiabuchi, 16-0. Ike Abiabuchi is one of the ultimate what ifs of boxing, man. He had the build, he had the size, he had power. He had it all, really. And he beat an undefeated David Tua, but that doesn't mean that it was a fluke. He knocked out an undefeated Chris Bird, who beat Vitaly Klitschko. We gotta remember that. So the fact that David Tua lost a very close decision to Ike Abiabuchi, there ain't no shame in that. No shame in that. Ike Abiabuchi, he was kind of crazy in the head. He had bipolar disorder. He actually insisted being called the president for a while, and story has it that he raped a bunch of women in a hotel, beat and raped women in hotels, so that's why he's still in prison today. They say he was gonna get out soon, but we'll see. He's about 42 years old right now. Yeah, he's 42 years old, but we'll see if he comes back. He won't, he won't be able to do much. I doubt it, but all right. David Tua also had a come from behind fight against an undefeated Hasim Rahman. This is a Rahman before Lennox Lewis in a fight that he was trailing on all the cards. And then he fought Lennox Lewis. Of course, Lennox Lewis boxed his ears off, kept moving, jabbing and jabbing and jabbing. Right hands hold. He was just too big, too good. Lennox Lewis, no shame in losing to Lennox Lewis. He lost to He lost to Chris Bird in a close decision. No shame in that either. I mean, not in my book, because Chris Bird is a future world champion, or a former world champion at that point. Yeah, he became a world champion at that point, or later on. No shame at all in losing. Yeah, he had already been a world champion. Had already beat Vitaly Klitschko, who was undefeated, by the way. So no shame in losing to Chris Bird either. He beat Fres Okendo, an undefeated 22-0 Fres Okendo, who was winning on the cards as well, and he came from behind from a knockout. Anything you want to say about David Tua? He was exciting. He could punch, and he could come from behind, man. The scorecards didn't matter when it came to David Tua. Not all the time, anyway. Presso Kendo was a good fighter. He later became a title challenger to Chris Bird, John Reese, and Holyfield. So he had more title shots than David Tua. David Tua's only title shot was against Lennox Lewis. So if he was around back like in 94 or 95 when Tommy Morrison was the champ, he would have murked that fool. He would have been world champion. He was around, but he just wasn't on the level yet. He knocked out Michael Moore in the first round in a brutal fight. We all know who Michael Moore was, the it happened guy. But Michael Moore was a good fighter. One of the greatest light heavyweights of all time. But he did beat Evander Holyfield. And he was boxing George Foreman's ears off before being knocked out. He beat Burt Cooper in a great fight. We all know Michael Moore. He's not a bum. That was a good victory. And he just destroyed Michael Moore. He had a draw with Hasim Rahman. That was after the Lennox Lewis fights and the Holyfield loss. And he finished his career after the Rahman fight. With 10 victories, 2 losses, and a draw, never became a world champion again. And he got dropped by Monte Barrett in 2010, the first time in his career after 18 years of being a pro that he was dropped. 18 years it took to drop the Tua-man, the Tua-minator. He just had such a great chin on him that he just wasn't going to lose. But he had to draw that fight. But that was the only time in his career that he was dropped. In 2010, he was 38 years old. So, pretty good record. He had 2 losses in a row. One to Monte Barrett and one to Alexander Ustinov. And that's when he retired after that fight, in which he lost a unanimous decision to Alexander Ustinov, who was 6'7" and a half, 293 pounds in that night. So, David Tua was 5'10". You got to remember, he was a big Samoan dude, but he was 5'10". He only measured 5'10", fighting these guys that are 6'7", 6'5", Lennox Lewis type of fights, Chris Bird fighters. He was a very small heavyweight, but he packed a punch. You know, that's why he got those comparisons with Mike Tyson. Even though he's not as fast as Mike Tyson, maybe not as explosive. He was explosive though, but that's why he got those comparisons. Man, a fight with Mike Tyson, that would have been amazing, dude. Amazing. Nah, like in 97, 98. Woo! I don't even know who to pick. 2000? You know, instead of fighting Lennox Lewis, had he fought Mike Tyson, that fight would have been fireworks. He had a shot at beating Mike Tyson then. I'm not saying a prime Mike Tyson. I'm saying Mike Tyson, you know, after the bite fight. That. What was Mike? Let's check on BoxRec. What was Mike doing in the year 2000, 1999? 1999 was when he got back from the suspension from the bite fight. He beat Franz Botha in a fight where he almost tried to break his arm. Olin Norris, Julius Francis, Lou Savarez, and 2000, Andrew Galata, Brian Nielsen. So he could have thrown in David Tua right there. He was by far better than all these guys. I'd say he's even better than Galata. So he is pushed aside because there's a lot of great heavyweights during that era. Vander Holyfield, Riddick Bowe, you know, but he only got one world title shot. Only one. He deserved at least another chance. You know, all these other... John freaking Reese was world champion. Roy Jones versus David Tua. That would have been interesting. A lot of interesting matchups that just didn't happen. Just after the Lennox Lewis fight, like his career momentum went down or some reason. But he still should be remembered. He is not a bum, not in any sense of the word. Never knocked out. Only down once. Only down once in his career, which spanned 21 years. So that's a hell of a chin. One of the best the heavyweight division has seen, in my opinion. He should be remembered as one of the hardest punching heavyweights there was at that time, with one of the greatest left hooks. I'm going to go out on a limb and say his left hook, just his left hook, was better than Mike Tyson's. I'm going to say that. I'm going to go out and say David Tua had a better left hook than Mike Tyson. I don't think Mike Tyson could have put away John Reese or Michael Moore any better. And with Biabuchi, it's a shame what happened to him, but they had a great fight as well. Fast paced, great fight. I'm actually going to probably do an underrated fight on Tua versus Biabuchi. But this is it, my tribute video to the Tua man, the Tua Manator, David Tua. Also, he is one of the great Polynesian fighters, if you could say that, Samoan fighters. So he's an example to all of those Polynesian guys, the Samoan guys, the New Zealand guys. I think one of the only ones I could name of the heavyweights, at least, you know. So he's got that's he got nothing to be ashamed of in his career. He had a great career. Thank you for watching, guys. What are some underappreciated fighters that you could think of that don't get the respect or don't get the recognition that you think they deserve? Don't forget to subscribe. Peace.